Good morning, everyone. How are we doing this morning? What an amazing start to this conference we already had with the fabulous Mariachi Phoenix and the wonderful prayer to center us all to fully enjoy this conference. Thank you, Corey, for the lovely introduction, and you all were amazing guessing what is true and what is not. I don't know how you knew, but you all did. It is indeed a great honor to be here with you all this morning at the opening of what promises to be an inspiring conference. My passion throughout my career has been advocating for inclusion of all individuals in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the so-called STEM fields. Why? Why do I care so much that we have beautiful colors at the table, a representation of all of us? These articles provide some answers to these questions, like this article from Scientific American, Diversity in STEM. What it is and why it matters. Or this other one, 5 numbers that explain why STEM diversity matters to all of us. But for me, this is personal. And one of my lifelong endeavors has been not only advocating for diversity, but also for inclusion and belonging of all individuals. This morning, first, I will share with you a little bit about myself and the trajectory created by my love for mathematics. Then I will discuss my awakening into a world that tells me I don't belong in mathematics. Finally, I will share thoughts on how I chose to fight this unfortunate misconception that impacts all of us every day. I was born in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. And we all know that Puerto Rico is a beautiful island in the Caribbean. It is a commonwealth of the United States, and we Puerto Ricans, we are U.S. citizens. I am the 4th of 6 children. I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters. At the top right here is a picture with my siblings and anyone from the neighborhood who knew there was a camera in town, so they wanted to be in the picture. You see, we didn't see a camera every day, so if there was one, we all wanted to be in it. At the bottom right is a picture of what my house would have looked like when I was growing up. I grew up in a very, very humble environment. At my school, we were all Latinos, all Puerto Ricans. We were all from very underprivileged backgrounds with a very high poverty level. Actually, I was very lucky to grow up in such a homogeneous population, in such a homogeneous community. My earliest teacher and the most influential person in my life was my mother. She valued education and instilled in me a love of learning. Even though she did not attend college, she only was allowed to complete 5th grade in elementary school because she was needed at home. But she would constantly tell all of us, the greatest gift that I can give you is an education, because that is the one thing that no one can take that away from you. But that's not exactly as she said it, as she did not speak English, but she said, lo más importante que les puedo regalar es una buena educación, pues eso nada ni nadie se los puede quitar. My father, who also only attended elementary school, he only completed 2nd grade. He was a strong supporter of education. He was a truck driver all his life until his early death at 46. in a truck accident. So my parents were not university professors, and you all knew that because you guessed it from the slides. So my mother was a woman of an amazing faith, and she passed those on to all of her children. She was the greatest supporter of education, and my being here where I am today is a tribute to her. Unfortunately, she passed away at an early age of breast cancer, but every presentation I make is a tribute to her. I attended the neighborhood public schools. They were all Title I schools. We all received free lunch, free breakfast, free backpacks, everything that you give to Title I schools in one of the most impoverished communities in Puerto Rico. I remember 3 amazing teachers throughout my K-12 years. First, Ms. Solonida Hernandez, my math teacher from 4th to 6th grade, and she would always tell us mathematics is the most important subject that you will learn in school. Then from 7th to 9th grade, Ms. Idalia Figueroa, who told us that if you can learn mathematics, you can learn anything. And finally, Mr. Joselina Alonso, my Algebra 2 teacher, who showed us the beauty of mathematics. I mentioned their names here for all of us teachers, instructors, professors in the room to remember the important impact that we can have in the lives of our students. Don't forget the value of your words, of your support for your students. After such a great experience, I no doubt why I decided to study mathematics at the University of Puerto Rico, and I started at the community college of the University of Puerto Rico, Colegio Regional de Bayamón. It was a 2-year institution, closer to where I am at home. Some people here from Bayamón, yes. Then I transferred to the main campus of the University of Puerto Rico in Rio Piedras, where I received a bachelor's degree in mathematics. My favorite teachers, Mr. Enrique Bayo, who taught me advanced calculus, Dr. Victor Garcia, who taught me topology, and Dr. Carol Knighton, who taught me abstract algebra. Dr. Knighton is the motivating factor why I pursued a doctoral degree in mathematics. One day after her class, she asked me, what are my plans after graduation? And before I could answer, she said, you should get a PhD in mathematics. You're good at it. You can do it. Well, this was a very difficult decision for me because at the time there were no PhD programs in Puerto Rico, which meant I would have to leave my beautiful island, the small countryside where I grew up, and come to the United States. But with the help of Dr. Knighton, I decided I will do it and the support of my family, and I received a National Science Foundation fellowship to continue my studies in the United States. I started my studies at the University of California at Berkeley. And when I got to Berkeley, I was really surprised to see how people were looking at me. They saw this Hispanic woman with an accent, even stronger then than now, in case you wonder. And they immediately made assumptions about what I could do or could not do. You see, I was a Hispanic woman with an accent. I couldn't be good in mathematics. That was the assumption they made. And I see in Puerto Rico growing up there, I was one of the smartest ones. I was the best in my class. And so I came to the United States full of ideas and what I'm going to do. And then I come here and people look at me and think that I cannot do mathematics. This was very difficult for me. This was a new reality that I was not used to. See, as I said, my thought was 2 months ago I was really good, and now I cannot even do this. So at that time I understood I need to do something to advocate for people like myself. So, being in this environment that was not really very supportive, I decided to move to the University of Iowa. I got my master's degree at Berkeley, and then I moved to the University of Iowa, where my sister had started her PhD studies in mathematics. And in Iowa, things were different. Anyone here from Iowa City, any PhDs from Iowa City, you all know what I'm talking about. There were Hispanics people there with accents way stronger than mine, and they were doing great. And it's like, okay, this is good. They made me feel very welcome. And in a few years, I graduated with my PhD in finite geometries. Unfortunately, by this time, my mother had died, so she was not there to see me graduate, but somehow I know, she knows that I made it. My research is in an area of algebra, and I'm just one slide about mathematics, and I know in this audience we all love mathematics, so allow me one slide. So I studied these structures called semifields, which are like fields for those of you who know a field, but if we don't assume associativity, we like to complicate things a little bit. And one of my proudest mathematical accomplishments was this conjecture that counted the number of these structures, how many semifields of order p to the fourth exist that have certain characteristics. So starting with my studies, I spent a tremendous amount of time looking into this, and I had a sense that this is what is true, but I couldn't prove it. Well, someone said, make a conjecture, because sometimes a good conjecture is better than a theorem. And so I made the conjecture, and then several years later, a group of Italian mathematicians proved that the conjecture was true, which made me great joy. Those Italian people worrying about what this little Puerto Rican had said years before, and how can we prove it true, or maybe not true, but it was true. So let's talk a little bit now about what happens in STEM and why this work matters so much to me. I have seen trouble in science leading to the underrepresentation of marginalized populations very early on since my days in graduate school. Many of the recent studies say that many of the most proficient students, including women and minority students, have been turned away from science and engineering to other majors. There is a large interest gap and achievement gap among some groups in STEM, and women, African Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans are seriously underrepresented in many STEM fields. Additionally, many teachers in the K-12 setting lack the support, the professional development to prepare them to address the perception, it's just a perception, that students from these populations cannot do mathematics, cannot do science or engineering. They also lack training on how to inspire all students. As a result, too many American students conclude early in their education that STEM subjects are boring, too difficult, or unwelcoming. Additionally, fewer than 40% of the students intending to major in STEM in college actually graduate with a STEM degree. So we're graduating very few people with STEM degrees. However, what's happening in the job market? STEM jobs are the ones that are growing the fastest. So we need to do something to increase the number of students getting STEM degrees, especially those that are not seeking those degrees at a high level. When we look at the population of the United States, and let's look at 2020, the most recent I found with a nice looking graph, we see here that the adult population, those 18 and over, 39% were minority. in 2020. That very same year, when you look at children under 18, 52% are minority. So the minority is becoming the majority, but we're not going into the STEM fields at the rate that we should, because when we look at the STEM workforce, only 12% of the STEM workforce in the US is made up of individuals from underrepresented populations. Remember, we just saw 52% are underrepresented, yet when we look at the STEM workforce right now, only 12% come from this population. So what can we do to encourage more Latinos, African Americans, Native Americans, and more women to pursue studies in STEM fields? Answering this question has been at the forefront of everything I have done in my career. So here's some of the things that I did. I helped secure funding from the National Science Foundation for the NSF GK-12 program at UT Arlington. And this program, we place math graduate students into the high school in Arlington with the largest percentage of Hispanics and African Americans, almost 90% of the population of that school. And that's where we took our graduate students there to show them the power, the beauty of mathematics and STEM careers. I also co-directed a summer research program for underrepresented minorities. I served as director of the text prep program for middle schools and high school students from underrepresented groups to get them excited about pursuing careers in STEM. I started the SACNAS chapter at UT Arlington. It is a fantastic chapter, very active, and many of them are here with us this morning. Additionally, to help institutions get financial support for projects addressing the underrepresentation in STEM, I went to the National Science Foundation as program director for 3 programs that were very dear to my heart. I worked with the advanced program, which the goal is to increase the number of women in STEM academia, women professors in science and engineering, so students can have role models. I also work with the Hispanic Serving Institution program that provides funding for institutions with a large percentage of Hispanic students so that to enhance STEM education. And finally, I work with the HBCU program, which provides funding for historically Black colleges and universities to strengthen STEM education. Being at the NSF was very rewarding, just like anything, all of the projects, all the initiatives that I have done in my career. Being a mathematician with the awareness of the need to advocate, or dare I say fight, for diversity and inclusion of all individuals has been very satisfying. Throughout my trajectory, I have met amazing people, and I have been given opportunities I never dreamed of. For example, the AAAS ambassador. There was a contest throughout the United States to select 100 women who could serve as role model to get middle school girls excited about STEM. My university said, let's nominate Minerva, and I did. They nominated me. Big competition, thousands throughout the nation. And at one of the steps, a panel of middle school girls was going to be looking at those nominations and selecting who inspires me. I was very fortunate to be one of those 100 women selected for this honor. And we did not know that the plans were to make life-size statues of each of us and have them going through different places in the country, and especially they went to Washington, D.C., and they were on exhibit at the Smithsonian Museums. Here I am with my life-size statue. Yeah, it's not taller than me, I'm just kneeling down. And a picture at the bottom of all the statues in there. Thousands, hundreds of girls came and visited us. And actually, they treated us like if we were Disney princesses or something because we had a statue. I tell you all, it was very cool. I was also one of the 10 women selected to speak at the Smithsonian to a group of parents and children that were there. And I thought, it just doesn't get any better than this. But then the following year, President Biden's office selected 12 individuals nationwide because of their efforts to increase diversity in STEM, and I was one of those 12 individuals. This is by far the cherry on top of everything that I have done, and it just keeps motivating me to continue to do more because I see the power that we have in our hands to help change the narrative. So my trajectory from my house in the countryside in Bayamón, Puerto Rico, to the White House. Wow. Made possible by education, determination, and the support and the encouragement of many people who, like you all this morning, inspire me each and every day. And also to the support of my loving family. I leave you now with one of my favorite quotes. I find that the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. I am a very lucky woman. Thank you.